Jinping Mei Original Version Chapter 98 Chen Jingji meets an old acquaintance in the Qing Dynasty, and Han Ai's sister meets her lover in Quiguan. It is said that one day, Zhou Xiaobai and Zhang Shui, the prefect of Jinan Prefecture, led their troops to suppress the 36 people of the bandit King Song, Zhang and Liangshan and more than 10,000 grass bandits. They were all recruited, the place was restored to peace and the imperial court was overjoyed. Zhang Shui was promoted to the imperial censor of the capital and ambassador to Shandong. Zhou Zhu was promoted to the military and horse department of Jinan, responsible for managing and patrolling rivers and detecting thieves. The subordinates recruited meritorious personnel and were promoted to one level. He was given the name Jingji in the military sect, promoted to the position of staff officer, given a month of rice and stones, and a crown and a body of honor. He stayed on guard until mid-October, received the edict, and led his troops to his home. Send someone to report to Chen Mei's family first. Chen Mei was so happy that she sent Chen Jingji, Zhang Shang and Lian out of the city to greet him. A wine banquet is arranged in the hall of the home to celebrate the official's birthday. Countless officials came to congratulate and give gifts. The guard dismounted and entered the back hall, followed by Chen Mei and son Erniang. After attending the congratulations, Chen Jingji wore a red collar, a hat, soap boots, and a horn belt to pay homage to his bride, Jan, his wife. When the guard saw a good girl, he was rewarded with a set of clothes and 10 taels of silver as a reward, which was no big deal. In the evening, Chen Mei and Shu were drinking in the room, talking about some household matters. Chen Mei said, "I spend a lot of money to marry my brother's wife." Shu Bei said, "Oh, if you stop this brother and come to you, he won't have a future without a wife. It's just a few taels of silver. Never for others." Chen Mei said, "Now you have earned this future for him, which is enough to honor you." Guard said, "The imperial decree has been issued, and I will take office in Jinan Mansion soon. You can look after the house at home and take care of it. With some capital, teach him to hire a supervisor and do some small and large business. Teach him to go down in 3 or 5 days, check the accounts, transfer some interest, and trick him into stirring up the scheme." Chen Mei said, "You said it." Yes. The couple enjoyed themselves together for 2 evenings, which cannot be described in detail. After living at home for 10 days, in early November, the guards were put in place. He led Zhang Shang and Li into Jinan to take up their posts, leaving Zhou Ren and Zhou Yi to look after the family. Chen Jingji was sent to Yangfu Temple in the south of the city before returning. One day, Chen Mei discussed with Jingji, "Guardian will teach you this. Find some business under the river, find a supervisor, get some interest, and pay for the family expenses." Jingji was full of joy when he heard this. "One day, I was walking down the street, looking for the supervisor. When something happened, he unexpectedly bumped into his old friend Lu Bingyi. He bowed and said, 'How come you never see me?' Jingji said, 'Because of the death of my wife, young Guangyan Sky kidnapped half of my cargo. I was impoverished. Now I'm well again. Fortunately, my sister married in the garrison, got married again, was promoted to staff officer, and has a great honor. Now I need to find a man to do some business, but there is no place to find him.' Lu Bingyi said, 'Young Guangyan kidnapped your goods, and now he hired a man named Z as a clerk. He opened a big hotel in Matu, Linqing, and lent money to prostitutes from all over the place. How about that? Earn big interest. He wears good clothes every day, eats good meat, rides a donkey, goes for a walk every 3 to 5 days, settles accounts and collects money, and ignores old friends. His brother opens a casino at home and raises fighting cocks. Dog. People dare not mess with him," Jingji said. "I saw him once last year. He was ruthless and beat me. I was saved by a friend. I hate him to the bone." Because of pulling Lu Erlang into the road drinking in a nearby hotel, the two of them discussed how to deal with him. "What I said," Lu Bingyi said. "As the saying goes, if you hate a small person, you are not a gentleman, and if you are not poisonous, you will not be a husband. Now let's talk to him. If you don't shed tears without seeing the coffin, he will definitely not." "Yes, I have a plan. I don't need to do other business. I just write a complaint and sue him there. I will chase you for your goods and money. I will seize this hotel, add some capital, and wait for me in Madao. Go and thank third brother, the shopkeeper, for selling. Brother, please go down for a walk in 3 or 5 days, check the accounts, and take care of things for a month. You can make 40 taels of silver in interest, which is better than doing other businesses. The judge heard that several people died unexpectedly just because Lu Bingyi told the story. Chen Jingji, one kind of death is too painful. Another kind of death is too humiliating. It's just that the decision cannot be made beforehand, and it is not up to anyone. Jingji heard this and said, Brothers Yan, what you said is true. I will tell my brother-in-law and sister when I get home. The deal is done, and brother-ins Yan and Zisan Lang will be the supervisors. The two of them finished their drinks and said, everyone came downstairs and paid for the drinks. Jingji said to brother Lu, Brother, please speak with caution. Lu Erlang said, I know. Everyone dispersed and went home. Jingji then said to Chan Mai, Zhang Nai, his father is not here. How can I take care of it? Zhou Zhang, an old family member, was nearby, so he said, it doesn't matter. Wait until my uncle writes a petition. How much money should be taken away? The goods were sealed inside, as a courtesy to the master. When the young man was handed over to the two officials at the punishment station, he was taken to the Yamen, where he was beaten and interrogated. He was not afraid that the man would not take out the goods. Here comes the money. Jingji was overjoyed. He wrote a piece of paper and took it to the guard to post it. When it was sealed, he sent his hometown Zhou Zhang to the Tixingyuan. The two officials were asking questions when they came to the hall. The man at the door reported, Master Zhou of the handsome family sent someone to write a letter. He Qianhu and Zhang Erguan called Zhou Zhang in to see them and asked about Master Zhou's appointment. I opened the envelope and looked at it, and saw the greetings and the petition. Since he wanted to do his part, even if he was approved, he would be sent to arrest him and go to the river to take Yang Guangyin. He replied with a greeting note and gave it to Zhou Zhang. Please tell your father and grandma when you get home. When I catch up with the silver here, I will wait for you to collect it. Zhou Zhang took the note back to his house and replied to Chan Mai, it will be done immediately. I'm going to take it away. When the money is recovered, I'll have someone take it away. Jingji saw the folding stickers that read, Attendants He Yangshu and Zhang Mode immediately bowed their heads. Jingji was overjoyed. After 2 days' delay, he was arrested under investigation. Yang Guangyin and his brother Yang Erfeng were taken to the Yamen down the river. The two officials interrogated Chen Jingji based on his complaint. After a beating and several days of imprisonment, 350 taels of silver and 100 barrels of raw eye cloth were recovered. A total of 50 taels were calculated for the rest of the housework in the hotel. Chen Jingji sued for 900 taels, leaving a shortfall of 350 taels. The house was sold for 50 taels, and all the family property was gone. This Jingji took over the Z family restaurant and formed a partnership with Fatty Z. Chan Mai counted out another 500 taels, making a total of 1,000 taels. Lu Bingyi was appointed as the supervisor, and the restaurant was renovated and repainted. The interior was shiny, the building was new, the tables and tables were bright, and the wine and food were in order. The truth is, open the urn to make 3 families drunk, and open the bottle to make 10 miles of incense. The immortals leave jade pendants, and you love each other with golden minks. From the middle of the first lunar month, Chen Jingji opened a large restaurant in Linking's Mada restaurant, selling 30 to 50 taels of silver in one day. They are all handled by Fatty Z and Lu Bingyi at the same time, and they are the shopkeepers on the counter. On the 3rd and 5th day, Jingji rode to Tuku, accompanied by Xiao Zheng'er, and went to the river to settle accounts. If you come, 2 guys, Lu Bingyi and Fatty Z, are cleaning up a clean room upstairs, laying out bed tents and setting up chairs, as neatly as a snow cave. Arrange a banquet and have 4 wonderful fans accompany you. Chen Sanner went back and forth to measure the wine. One day, in the March festival, the spring scenery was bright and beautiful. The scenery was fragrant. The locust trees and willow trees lined the embankment, and the red apricots and peaches were brilliant. Chen Jingji was upstairs, sitting on the green balcony, looking at the scenery downstairs. It was so lively. There is a poem to prove it. The wind blows. The smoke and the beautiful makeup is in peace, and the festivals begin to grow in peacetime. It can add courage to strong men and heroes, and can relieve the melancholy of beautiful women. 3 feet of dawn hanging willow bank, a pole inserted diagonally next to the apricot blossoms. The man failed in his life, ambition, and went into drunkenness singing happily. One day, Jingji looked behind the window of the building and saw appealing boats parked by the river. The boat carried many boxes and cages, and 4 or 5 people moved into the empty room downstairs. There were 2 women on the boat. One was a middle-aged woman with a long figure and a purple chest. The other was a young woman with makeup and powder, fair and beautiful face, about 20 years old. "Just walk into the house," Jingji asked Manager Z. "Who are they?" "They moved into my house without asking me a question," Manager Z said. "These 2 are women from Tokyo. They couldn't find relatives, and they had nowhere to live. Mr. Fan, a neighbor here, came to tell me that he would stay for 2 or 3 days and then go. I was about to report to the officials, but I didn't want them to come and ask." Jingji was about to get angry when he saw the young woman folding her crotch and moving forward, looking at Jingji. She said a deep blessing and said, "Officials should calm down and do not do things that are in charge. It's because the servants are so bold that they have no choice but to come to the house first to report and beg for forgiveness. Ronglu can only stay for 3 to 5 days. I'll move in after paying the rent." Jingji saw that the little woman was good at talking, so he just looked at him up and down. The woman looked sideways at Jingji with her starry eyes. Her eyes were full of emotions, and she couldn't place her feelings in words. Jingji said nothing, thinking to himself, "I have never seen a reverse phase before, and it looks so familiar." The middle-aged woman with a slender figure also looked at Jingji intently and said, "Guardian, are you Master Simon?" "Auntie Chen." Jingji was surprised and said, "How do you recognize me?" The woman said, "To be honest with you, I am from the family of my old friend Han Daoguo, and this is my girl's beloved sister." Jingji said, "You 2 are in Tokyo. How come you are here? Where is your husband?" The woman said, "We are looking after the housework on the ship." Jingji hurriedly ordered to measure the wine and invite him to meet her. After a while, Han Daoguo came over and bowed, already with white beard and hair, because he said, "The 6 people in Hanzhong, Kai Taishi, Tong Taiwei, Li Yuxiang, Zhu Taiwei, Gao Taiwei, and Li Yunuk, were all appointed by Tai Xueguo. Chen Dong, the son of the sun, went to the court to participate in the impeachment, but was knocked down by Dao Zhaozhang. When the imperial edict was issued, he was sent to the 3 Laws Division for questioning. The ground was filled with smoke and was banished to the army forever. Kaiyu, the Grand Master's son, the Minister of Rights, was beheaded, and his family property was confiscated. I waited for the 3 of us to escape each other and went to King County to look for my second brother. The second brother sold his house and disappeared without a trace. The 3 of us hired a boat and came from the river. Unexpectedly, we bumped into my uncle here. 3 lifetimes of good fortune. He asked, "Is my uncle still at Mr. Simon's house today?" Jingji shook his head and said, "I'm not at his house anymore. I served as a staff officer in my brother-in-law's house, guarding Zhou Yi's house, and I was honored. Recently, I joined him in and started driving on the horse's head here. This hotel is where you live haphazardly. Since you meet me every 3 times, you don't have to move out. You might as well just stay here. Please be at ease." The woman and Han Daoguo bowed together. After saying that, he carried the living box cage up on the ship. Jingji felt itchy and asked his companions, Xiao Jing'er and Chen Saner, to carry some household chores for him. Wang Liuer said, "It doesn't take a lot of effort from my uncle." Both sides were happy. Jingji said, "You and I are one family, so why bother?" Jingji saw that it was getting late and it was time to apply for the license, so he wanted to go home. Distribution supervisor, "Let's send him some tea boxes." He got on his horse and followed him to the house. He thought about her all night long, but he couldn't leave Sister Hanai alone. After one day, I got up early on the third day, dressed up, and followed Xiaozhong to the Hexia Hotel to watch some business being done. The 8 Lao invoice from Han Daoguo came to invite him to tea. Jingji was about to take a look when the 8th elder came to invite him. So he got up and went in. I saw Sister Hanai with a big smile. She came out and said blessings. Officials, please sit inside. Jingji went to the pavilion to meet, and Wang Liuer and Han Daoguo both came to sit with her. After a while of tea, they chatted with each other about the old gossip. Jingji couldn't help but look at Sister Hanai. Sister Ai looked at Jingji with her eyes full of salivation. They were interested in each other. There are poems to prove it. The bow shoes are narrow and the spring flowers are cut, and the fragrant body is crisp and her breast is full of jade. The beauty is extremely graceful, and her eyes are full of hatred. After a while, Han Daoguo walked out. Sister Ai asked, "How young is the official?" Jingji said, 26 years are wasted. Jingji asked, "How young is my sister?" Sister Ai smiled and said, "The slave and the official are destined to be together for a while. So is it. 26 years old. We met again at the eldest father's house in the old days. How lucky we are to meet in the same place again. It was fate that we came thousands of miles to meet each other." When Wang Liuer saw the two of them talking about entering Hong Kong, he saw Guan Guan. He told me a story and walked out. He was the only one sitting across from him. Sister Ai used some romantic words to seduce Jingji. Jingji had been doing what he had been doing since he was a child, so why not spare it? Then he salivated and replied teasingly, "It turns out that Sister Hanai came from Tokyo, and she and her mother had done some traveling together. Now I met Jingji, whom I had a long-lasting relationship with. I couldn't help but fall in love with him. Seeing that there was no one around, I walked forward, sat down next to him, coquettishly and foolishly, and said, 'Officer, put your head on your head. Lend me the golden hairpin to take a look at.' Just when Jingji was about to pull it out, his sister Ai held Jingji's hairpin down with one hand and pulled out the hairpin with the other. Then he stood up with a smile and said, 'I'll go upstairs with you to have a word.' One said and the other walked away. Jingji couldn't help but follow him upstairs. Exactly, the flowers dance when the wind comes, and the birds can speak when spring comes. Jingji followed him upstairs and asked, 'Sister, what do you have to say?' Sister Ai said, 'I am destined to be married to you in the past life. Now that we have met, I would like to share the joy of sleeping together and enjoy the joy of flying together.' Jingji said, 'It's rare for my sister to feel pity. I'm afraid someone here is aware.' Sister Hanai acted seductively, hugged Jingji in her arms, and pulled off his pants with her pointed jade hands. The two were so passionate that they couldn't hold it in any longer. So Sister Ai couldn't help but undress, lie on her back, and have sex together on the bed. It's just that. Lust is as bold as the sky, fearing anything. Love for hundreds of years? Jingji asked. 'What sister is your name?' Sister Hanai said, 'I was born during the Dragon Boat Festival, so I call you Fifth Sister, also known as Sister Ai.' Suddenly the clouds cleared and the rain dispersed, and they sat together leaning against each other. Sister Hanai put a golden hairpin on his head and told Jingji, 'Since the three of us came to Tokyo, we have been unable to find relatives and have no money to pay. You have silver. If you lend me 5 taels to my father, I will pay you back in Lina. Don't refuse.' 'No.' Jingji agreed and said, 'It doesn't matter if my sister asks. I'll give you 5 taels.' The two sat there for another half day, fearing that people would talk about it, and had a cup of tea. Sister Ai stayed for lunch, and Jingji said, 'I have something to do over there, so I won't be able to eat. I'll send you some money to meet you.' Sister Ai said, 'I'll prepare a glass of water and wine for you in the afternoon.' I don't want to refuse, but come and sit down." Jingji ate in the shop. After lunch, we took a leisurely walk on the street again. I bumped into Jin Zongming, my former senior brother from Yangong Miao, going to him and recounting the past events. Jin Zongming said, "I don't know that my dear brother got married in the guarding master's house and opened a shop in the building. I was disappointed to pay my respects. I will ask my disciple to bring tea tomorrow. Please go and sit in the temple in your spare time." After that, Songming went back. When Jingji walked to the store, manager Lu said, "Old Han who lives here invites officials to have a drink, but he is nowhere to be found." Just as he was talking, Ba Lao came to invite him again. "Just ask the two supervisors to accompany me, no other guests." Jingji and his second supervisor walked into the inner room, where a banquet had been arranged. Jingji sat on top. Han Daoguo took the throne. Lu Bingyi and Fatty Zi were in charge. Wang Liuer and Sister Ai sat next to each other. And the 8 elders went back and forth to sift wine and prepare dishes. After eating a few drinks, the two supervisors understood and said, "Sit down slowly, sir, and look at the cabinet." They got up and left. Jingji usually drank a lot, but he didn't drink too much. He went to see his supervisor again. He happily had a few drinks with Han Daoguo, and then he felt a little drunk. Sister Ai then asked, "Why don't the officials go home today?" Jingji said, "It's too late, and we can't go back. Let's get up and go tomorrow." Wang Liuer and Han Daoguo ate once and went downstairs. Jingji took out 5 taels of silver from his sleeve and handed it to Sister Ai. Sister Ai went downstairs and handed Wang Liuer over, then came back up. The two exchanged cups and cups, lean on the green and red, and eat until late in the evening. Sister Ai took off her heavy makeup and left Jingji to rest in the pavilion upstairs. At this moment, I am pillowing the Mountain Alliance, swearing to each other in the quilt, and singing the songs of orioles and swallows. I have exhausted my preparations and cannot remember them all. Sister Ai worked as a concubine with Butler Zai in Teishikai's house in Tokyo. She supported the old lady, learned some playing and singing, and was able to read and write. She was very pleasant in many ways. Jingji was overjoyed. Just like sixth sister, Jung was in his heart. If you spend the whole night with him and stop sleeping, you will inevitably wake up late the next day and only get up when you have a dinner date. Wang Liu arranged some chicken and meatballs and made a head to support him. The two had a few glasses of warm wine. The supervisor from Shaoqing came and asked Jingji to serve food over there. After Jingji washed up and had dinner, he came to say goodbye to Sister Ai and wanted to go back. The loving sister was reluctant to give up and just shed tears. Jingji said, "I will come to see you in 3 or 5 days after I get home. Don't worry about it." After saying that, his companions followed him and rode to the city. Along the way, he told Xiao Jianger, "Don't tell anything about the Han family when you get home." Xiao Jianger said, "I know. There is no need to pay separately." When Jingji came to the house, he only said that he was busy with business in the store. He calculated the accounts and didn't realize it was late. He couldn't come back and rested all night. The delivery and the interest on Chunmai were 2 taels of silver. CU. He only had 30 taels of silver at one time. When he returned home, he was greeted by Chui again. "Why did the official rest outside all night? I must have walked on Liamoyua Street and left me at home, alone in an empty room, without thinking about coming home." They kept Chen Jingji for 7 or 8 days and refused to let him go down the river. Only Xiao Jianger was sent to the store to ask the supervisor for interest. The supervisor gave him the money one by one. Han Daoguo could not avoid having his wife Wang Liuer and provoking other people. Acquaintances or businessmen came to the house to have tea and wine. Han Daoguo had tasted this benefit before, relying on his wife's food and clothing to enrich his family. Although King Kwang Liuer was old, his charm was still there, and he happened to have his daughter. He came to take over, but he never stopped this kind of business. And now he simply went big. Seeing that Jingji was not coming, Chen Sainer, who was measuring wine, hooked up a Huzhou silk and cotton merchant, He Guanren, for him, and invited his daughter Ig. So, what? The official was about 50 years old, and he had 1,000 taels of silk and silk goods in his hand. He wanted to invite Sister Ai. Sister Ai was thinking about Jingji, and was unhappy in her heart. She refused to come downstairs 3 or 5 times. Han Daoguo was anxious. Then officer he saw Wang Liuer's tall figure, purple chest, melon seed face, big and small temples, a pair of starry eyes with a drunken look, and bright red lips. He expected that this woman must be very charming. So he left a tael of silver, drank wine in the house, and rested all night with Wang Liuer. Han Daoguo hid outside and rested. When his daughter saw that her mother had left aghast, she only stayed upstairs and refused to come downstairs. From then on, the official he was happily teased by Wang Liuer, and the two of them were beaten like charcoal. It was so hot that I didn't come to spend the night with him for 3 or 2 days. Han Daoguo also banned many of his money envoys. When Sister Hanai saw that Jingji had been gone for more than 10 days, she thought in her heart that if 1 day is like 3 autumns, and 1 night is like Penelia, it will harm the eyes by the wood and the hearts of the fields. He sent the 8 elders to the garrison in the city to inquire. Seeing Xiao Jing'er, she quietly asked him, "Why don't you go, sir?" Xiao Jing'er said, "Master, I've been feeling a little unwell these past 2 days and haven't gone out." He came back and told Sister Ai. Sister Ai discussed with Wang Liuer and bought a pair of pig's trotters, to roast ducks, to fresh fishes, and a box of shortbread cakes. She polished her ink and pen upstairs and wrote a letter to send the 8 elders to the city. When Jingji went there, he told him, "When you go to the city, you must ask Mr. Chen to collect it personally and ask for it back." The 8 elders held the cards in their arms and picked up the gifts. They were speechless all the way. When he came to the garrison in the city, he sat on the stone platform along the street. I saw my companion Xiao Jing'er coming out and saw the 8th elder. "What are you doing here again?" The 8th elder called him, pulled him into a secluded place, and said, "I came to see you, the official, to give you a gift. I have something else to say. I only have this to wait for you. You can inform the officials." Xiao Zhang then turned around and went in. Not long after, I saw Jingji coming out. It was about May and the weather was hot. Jingji wore gauze clothes, a corrugated hat, sandals and socks. The 8 elders hurriedly said, "Is it better for an official to be in good health? Sister Hanai asked me to post a card and send you a gift." Jingji took the invitation and said, "How are you, 5th sister?" The 8 elders said, "5th sister? Seeing that the officials never go, I feel unhappy there. I'll pay more attention to the officials. When will I go for a walk?" Jingji opened the card and looked at the words written on it. "My concubine, Han Iji. Bow to me. I sincerely welcome my lover, Chen Daguan, to the throne." Next, I looked down on my face, and my longing for her is not too little. When I made an appointment with Meng Qi, I leaned against the door and stared, but I didn't see him coming. Yesterday, I sent 8 elders to inquire about their daily life, but they came back without encountering him. When I heard that your majesty was ill and unwell, I ordered my concubine to sit and lie down in despair. You are at home. You have a lovely wife and beautiful love. How can you be willing to think about my concubine? Just like spitting out the core of a fruit. I have a fishy smell and a few tea boxes. I would like to extend my sincerity, but I hope you will accept it with a smile. The situation is tacit. There is a splendid mandarin duck sachet on the outside, and a strand of green silk, which shows the heart. On Midsummer's Day, my dear concubine, my beloved sister, paid homage to Jingji again and read the invitation card in the sachet. A strand of green silk was placed inside the sachet. The sachet was clasped with the characters, "Send it to my lover Chen Zhen's knees." He folded it first and hid it in his sleeve. There was a hotel next to the house, so Xiao Jing'er said, "Take 8 old friends to the hotel and have a drink while I write you a reply." Xiao Zhang did not dare to neglect and took 4 boxes of gifts. Jingji went to the academy room, wrote a reply quietly, and packed 5 taels of silver. He went to the hotel and asked the 8 elders, "Have you ever had wine? Let's go." Jingji returned the money to Cambodia and paid it to the 8 elders, saying, "When you get home, pay homage to the 5th sister. I'll pay him these 5 taels of platinum. I'll go see him myself in 3 or 2 days. The 8 elders collected the silver. Cambodia have been going. When Jingji returned home and walked into the room, Kuai-ping asked, "Whose family sent the gift?" Jingji replied, "The owner of the shop, Fatty Z, asked me if he was unhappy, so he sent me a gift to say hello." Kuai-ping also believed it was true. The couple discussed and asked the maid Keener to take the plate. They took a roast duck, a blood tail and half a pair of hooves, and sent them to the back to eat with Chen Mai. They said it was a gift from the owner of the shop and didn't ask any questions. This matter is out of the question, but it was said that it was already late when Ba Lao arrived at the river. So he gave all the silver and Cambodian money to Sister Ai and collected it. Unwrap the silver and Cambodian money and look at it under the lamp. It reads, "My brother Jingji Dun's initials are written over the words." A Viking Han Wuji's makeup. I asked Meng Hui and accepted the large sum of money. I also love the clouds and rain. I love Zuoshi all the time. Lazy, as expected. I was about to meet you, but occasionally I was unhappy because of my humble body. And I lost your hope. I am also sent to pay attention to you. And you will also receive delicious food and good preparations. Thank you very much. Only for 2 or 3 days can I clothe my face. On the outside, there are 5 tails of platinum and a side of silk handkerchief. I rarely extend my respect to kin from afar, and I beg for my heart. Jingji visited Sister Ai again and saw 4 lines of poetry written on the handkerchief. Wuling's handkerchief was woven with palindrome, and Sahin's ink was fresh. I send my love to the 5th sister Han, and I will forever be in love with Luan Feng for 100 years. After reading it, Sister Ai paid Wang Liwer the money. Mother and son are overjoyed and waiting for Jingji, no matter what. It's just that, a favorite friend never gets tired of visiting. And a close friend has the same words. There is a poem to prove it, under the green screen window. The envelope is opened, and the fragrance of Yunhong is strong on a piece of paper. Knowing that you have passed through your jade hands, I can't even express my love.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.